How accessible are Walmart's parking lots to disabled people by Margette Isho. Description of Walmart's parking lot. The measurement/amount of spaces of the Walmart parking lots is around 865 parking spaces. 16 of those are accessible parking spots, and 3 of them are for vans. The accessibility in van parking spaces are the ones closest to the entrance, and there are no curbs to enter the store, so it is very accessible. Analysis of accessibility based on ADA accessibility standards. According to the ADA, if there are 851 to 900 parking spaces, 15 of them must be for accessibility spaces and 3 for vans. Walmart has a total of 865 parking spaces, with 16 of them for accessibility and 3 for vans. The ADA also states there must be normal maintenance done to the accessibility parking lot spaces whenever they are not up to par. At Walmart's accessibility spaces, there isn't a huge amount of damage done to the spaces, although there are a few cracks, but the color of the striping lines for the spaces are very vibrant. Analysis of accessibility based on ADA accessibility standards, Part 2. The ADA requires accessible parking spaces to be the closest to the accessible entrances. Walmart's accessible spaces are the closest to the entrance, and all entrances there are accessible to disabled people. Also, the ADA has a certain requirements for places with valet parking and places that have multiple parking facilities on site. But Walmart does not have valet parking nor multiple parking facilities on site. The ADA also states that van and accessibility parking spaces must be the certain size, and Walmart does have the required size. Photos of Walmart parking lot. The top left photo demonstrates how many accessible parking spaces there are and how close they are to the entrance. The middle top photo shows the symbol there on the parking spaces and the sign. It also shows how the stripping lines there are very vibrant, but it also shows how the cracks in the parking lot are there. The top right photo shows the van parking spot, and it shows how close the accessibility parking spaces are to the entrance. The bottom left photo shows how there are no curbs at the entrance and how it is very accessible. The bottom middle one is just another example of that, how there are no curbs, it's very accessible. And the bottom right photo shows, again, the accessible symbol and the sign. Discussion questions. Who can use your selected site/product well? Pay attention to gender, race, body size, height, neurodiversity, particular abilities or disabilities, including learning, cognition, social, sensory, physical, etc. Anybody with a car and driver's license can use a parking space. Those are the only regulations to someone being able to use a parking spot and to use a handicap space. You need a plaque, a handicap plaque. What is the level of stimulation, overstimulation? The level of stimulation/overstimulation for a parking lot depends on the scenery, location, and the community there. Discussion questions. What is the signage/user interface? How would you find your way? There's Google Maps to find your way to a parking lot, and to get to a handicap space, there are signs at the top of the parking space and a painted handicap symbol on the ground. How do you feel in this space or using this product? How do you think others different from you might feel? I can use a parking space, but not a handicap one, since I don't have a plaque. So I personally don't have the experience using it, but others that can, I believe, are grateful for it. How is the key information presented? Is it available in multiple formats? It is presented in a symbol and written in a text that says accessible parking. Discussion questions. If there is written or spoken text, what is the language and vocabulary? There is written text that says accessible parking. How intense are lights, sounds, or movement? There are no lights, sounds, and movement coming from the parking spot, but there can be from the people and area around the parking spots. Is there evidence of purposeful access or accommodations? Are there any ramps, signage about accommodations, who to contact, for example? There is evidence of accommodations because there are no curbs to enter the store, and the accessible parking has signs to identify the space. Are there captions, text-to-voice, braille signage, etc. available? No, there is not. Who was this designed or made for? A parking lot is made for anybody that has a driver's license. The reserved parking spots are designed for disabled people that have a plaque card, and the intent of these parking spots is to make parking an easier experience for disabled people. Was it welcoming Was it a welcoming space? And what assumptions are being made? The Walmart parking lot was as welcoming as you can make a parking lot to be. The only assumption that was made about the visitor of the parking lot are the sizes of the cars being parked. What would it mean for this to be a fully inclusive or accessible place, to be welcoming to all people? I believe that Walmart parking lot designs today are already fully inclusive, accessible, and welcome to everyone, but there could always be more accessible parking spaces. Can you think of any alternate designs? Why do you think it was designed this way? No, I honestly can't think of any alternate designs that would be more efficient. I believe it was designed the way it was to help everybody using the area. What are the consequences of this design? The social and cultural impacts. There aren't any consequences of this design, and it has no effects or impacts on society and the cultural communities. How does ableism impact this? How is segregation by design present, if at all? Ableism impacts the design by how they're used to never be disabled parking spots, but now in today's day and age there is. And there is segregation in the parking lots because the disabled parking lot spaces are separated from non-disabled parking lot spaces, but it is meant to help the disabled people so they can be closer to the entrance. Before I end this presentation, I just want to say I haven't got my driver's license yet, but I will get it in around a year. But at the moment, I'm learning. So in the future, I want to be able to be more informationable with this, so I really appreciate this presentation teaching me that. Thank you for listening and have a great day.